Killings and demographics. So we can look at the demographic breakdown of police killings. Each figure represents one person killed by the police in Louisiana from January 1st, 2013 to January 11th, 2024. We can select from the dropdown to see each person's race, gender, and age. You can hover over the chart to see the number of people in each category. Note that the demographics reported do not include gender categories other than male and female. And this data is coming from Mapping Police Violence. So, for example, if we're looking at race, we can see that 122 of the people who were killed were black, 79 people were white, 15 were Hispanic, 3 were Asian, and 25 had an unknown race. We can also look at gender and see that the vast majority were male and age category. If, for example, we want to only look at under 18 and over 55, we can select each of these and they will go away. And here we can see that there were 6 people under 18 and 29 people over the age of 55 who were killed. More so, we can see that 50% of all people killed by police in Louisiana were black, even though black Louisianans only represent 33% of the state's total population. And note that you can select the download data button right here to download all of this data onto your computer. We can also look at the number of killings per 100,000 residents. So we can select from the dropdown to see the number of police killings by race. Select rate of black people to white people killed to see the racial disparity in police killings for each parish. And this data is coming from Mapping Police Violence and the 2020 US Census. More so, we talk about how these numbers were calculated. So the number of black and white people killed per 100,000 residents in each parish was calculated by dividing the number of people killed in said parish by the number of residents of the same demographic, and then multiplying by 100,000. The ratio of black to white residents killed was calculated by dividing the number of black people killed per 100,000 residents by the number of white people killed per 100,000 residents. This figure includes ratios only for those parishes with reported killings for both black and white people. So if we look at this map, we can see the total people killed per 100,000 residents. So we can see, for example, that Red River had almost 40 people killed per 100,000 residents. And similarly, we can see that West Baton Rouge had almost 26 people killed per 100,000 residents. But we can also look at this for different races. So for example, if we want to look at the number of black people killed per 100,000 black residents, we can click here to look at the most egregious parishes and then select through these 4. So in East Feliciana, there were almost 28 black people killed per 100,000 black residents. In Red River, there were almost 33. In Sabine, there were almost 26. And West Baton Rouge, there were almost 27. More so, we can look at the number of white people killed per 100,000 white residents to see that Tensas had the highest rate of white people being killed per 100,000 residents. And more so, we can look at the rate of black people killed to white people killed. So we can see that in East Baton Rouge, black people are more than 10 times more likely to be killed per 100,000 residents. Specifically, 10.11 black people, there were 10.11 black people killed per 100,000 black residents to 1 white person killed per 100,000 white residents. In all of Louisiana, this tells us that the rate of black individuals killed by the police is more than 2.66 times that of white individuals. More so, we can look at the parishes with the highest number of killings per 100,000 residents. So the graphic below illustrates the 5 parishes with the most police killings per 100,000 residents from January 1st, 2013 to January 11th, 2024. So here, if we hover over these names, we can see that Red River had the most, second with West Baton Rouge, then Tensas, East Feliciana, and Acadia. And you can download any of this data by clicking the download data buttons. So we can also look at the demographic breakdown of people killed in each parish. So you can select a parish from the drop-down menu. Each pie chart illustrates the proportion of people killed by police in the selected parish by demographic. Hover over the pie chart to see the number and percentage of people killed in each category. And again, this data is coming from Mapping Police Violence. So we're looking at Jefferson Parish right now. So we can see that 62% of the people who were killed within Jefferson Parish have been black. Almost all of them have been male, and several of them have been under the age of 18, and several have been over the age of 55. Or we can look at another. So for example, we can look at Orleans Parish. And we can see once again that the majority of people who were killed were black, all of them were male, and the majority of ages were between 18 and 34. And again, you can download each of these individually. So this brings us to between January 1st, 2013 and January 11th, 2024, 116 out of the 132 months had at least one police killing. This means in Louisiana, almost every single month in this 11-year period had at least one police killing. This shows us that it's not just happening one year or in a series of years, it is happening almost every year at the same consistent rate. We can also look at the demographics of people killed over time. Each bar represents the cumulative number of people killed by police in Louisiana from January 2013 through the year indicated in the lower right. You can select a demographic category from the menu at the top, right here, and press the arrow at the bottom left to view the total period. So, for example, if we want to look at the age over time, we can see over time as each of the categories populate. So as we're looking at that, we can note that the average age of people killed by the police is almost 37, almost half of the life expectancy in Louisiana. Note that people's lives are being almost halved by police killings. In addition, the average age of people killed by the police in a single year has grown from 35 in 2013 to above 40 in 2021.